Oh, there's someone. Hannah always sneaks in. Seriously, she just sneaks in. It doesn't even bleep when she enters. It's so bizarre. Anyway, we are now yes, we are right now recording. Right. Wow, we've got loads of people here today. That is brilliant. So, as part of our life skills course, we also have like family sessions or special themes with special guests, which we have today. Today's theme is all about dyslexia. Okay, so if you've been with us a little while, you'll know that we do particular sessions. We've done one on PDA, we've done one with my son on autism, and there's going to be more. I think next week, potentially, I've got to confirm this all up, but it might be on social anxiety. So we're going to have a little session on that because I know a lot of you do suffer with that. And it's a time to share, and if you can, and just it's a safe environment to share. So, but this week, all about dyslexia, which I really like because here at National Tutors, I don't just have one colleague with dyslexia, I have quite a few, and some teachers as well having dyslexia. And does it stop them? No, absolutely not. So, for some who don't have dyslexia, like myself, this is going to be very helpful to understand and appreciate the world of dyslexia. And we have brought in our special guest, Abigail. You're recommended to us by Send Help, we work with as well. What Abigail can explain how the session will go. We've kind of come up with a little plan, but in most cases, it will just be led by the conversations that arise. If you do want to say anything or have a question, put your hand up. You've got a little where is it? Little face thing here. You can do thumbs up. You can put your hand up as well if you want, somewhere on the screen. I think it's with the 3 little dots. No, it's not. There was a little hands up thing somewhere. Can't seem to. Oh, raise hand. That was it. Raise hand. So if you have a question, raise your hand or do thumbs up or something, or you can put a little question in the chat. That's not a problem. But I hope everyone enjoys this. Yeah, and I'm going to now hand over to Abigail, and I'm also going to go like that. So unless you want the board. Do you want the board?
No, I was going to just, as long as I've got permission to share your screen, which I think I have, I should be good because I've just got some things to share with you.
Oh, okay. Oh, well, when you do that, actually, I'm going to pin, see if I can pin you. Oh, there you go. That's a bit better.
Good Lord, that's quite scary.
So, Abigail, over to you. Can you please introduce us and what you do and your bit about your background, and then we can just go with the flow with the conversation. Thank you.
Absolutely. So, hi everyone. My name's Abigail. I founded the Dynamic Dyslexia Academy. I was a teacher. I have ADHD. I'm pretty sure I'm dyslexic, although I don't have the official diagnosis. I tick a lot of the boxes, but I never got that diagnosis, which I think I should do, really. So that would really help me because I have the ADHD one, but not the dyslexia one. It does run in my family as well. My uncle's dyslexic, my cousin's severely dyslexic, and really, really, really struggled at school. So it's something that I had in my family before I even started teaching as well. So I'm quite aware of how it made my cousin feel because he found school really difficult because he was dyslexic. So yeah, so I think for me, I wanted to help other children like thrive, you know, just because I wanted them to be happy and to see that they can do things. Their brain just works differently, and this is how your brain works, and this is how we're going to work with it instead. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So yeah. And if I'm allowed to share my screen, I'll just share.
Right, you're good. Right, bear with.
No, that's all right.
I'm going to go back to the board. Right. Have you found the share screen?
I have. Yes.
Can you do it then?
I can.
It's a scary moment when it all goes.
It's a scary moment.
Yeah, and then if people haven't got it on their screen, you can go to the three dots and go pin to view. I think, yeah, that's it.
Right, can everyone see that okay?
Yes, I can, and for the recording, we can as well. But if anyone else is struggling, go to the three dots on the shared screen and click pin. There we go.
Okay, fantastic. So this isn't a great picture of a dyslexic brain, but what basically happens, why people with dyslexia struggle with their reading and their spelling and their writing, and it often includes speech as well as it, as well as your organisation skills. The reason why is because basically you have this thing called phonological awareness, which is a big word, but it just means how you hear sounds. So when in a person's brain with dyslexia, there's only a slight bit of the brain that lights up when you're trying to read. So there's less parts of the brain that are trying to process all these parts of the words that they're trying to read, which is why they struggle with reading. So I'm just going to share this. So I was just going to show you like a little bit. This is the technical bit.
Yeah.
So basically, so it shows that dyslexic people have less activation in their left hemisphere regions responsible for phonological processing, which is crucial for reading. So basically, all that means is how you hear the sound to how it's written down, which is why people with dyslexia really struggle with the phonics system when they started school, maybe, and then reading later on and spelling as well, because you just can't connect with how that sounds to how it's written down. So I don't like to call it phonological deficit. I'd like to call it phonological difference, because it's just about the processing, and it's just a way to be able to manipulate and hear those sounds within words. So this can make this deficit in this area can make it just more challenging to match those sounds to the letters. So, like A-I says A, for example, or AY says A. But it can be more complex in that when you get, when you're older, when you've got bigger words, it can make, when you're chunking things down, it can make it really difficult. So that's why how your brain processes things. Now, visual processing is also, people think of dyslexia of like the words moving around the page, and that isn't actually true. This is only part of it, and not everybody has this part of dyslexia. So this is called visual processing. So the actual dyslexia is primarily like a phonological difference, but the visual processing can basically have some difficult individuals might have problems seeing letters, or they might move round, or in the correct sequence. So this is why people use different coloured glasses or coloured overlays. This is the bit that is going to help that part. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So working memory, anybody knows who's got dyslexia or ADHD, if you have both, you have problems with your short-term working memory, which is basically the ability to hold and manipulate information over short periods of time, which is why that makes reading and spelling and comprehension more difficult, and times tables, for example, because you can't hold those multiple pieces of information in your brain simultaneously. I have a confession. I only remembered my times tables in my 30s because my daughter had a Ladybird CD and we used to sing it every day. And I remember how the song went to how the times table was, because I couldn't remember it. Yeah. So this is this working memory. So that really helps. So basically, people with dyslexia, we think of other ways to do things, because people with dyslexia are really good at creative thinking. You'll find they're architects, they are great astronomers because they see patterns as well. Actually, this is an interesting fact. The government actually likes to employ people in the secret services with dyslexia because they can see patterns in phone calls and speak patterns that other people cannot.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
Yeah, because there was I don't know if anybody saw this. There was, I know Chris Packham did loads of he did one about autism, he did one about dyslexia, ADHD, and one of the things he went into this centre in it, you know, this like for the government, and he had to do the same test, and the same dyslexic person said, no, this is the reason why X, Y, and Z, and they were able to pick it out straight away.
Wow.
So it's really interesting. So that spatial reasoning as well. So when I was at university, one of my flatmates, he worked for Sony, and they designed all the PlayStation games. The whole team were dyslexic. so this is what I mean.
Yeah, this is it. It's not. It's why should it be a deficit? It's just and everyone is different. Yeah, they will sort of thrive in some areas and struggle in others. But we all, you know, those without dyslexia also. I struggle. I don't like English. We have our own specialities, don't we? It's brilliant.
Yeah, so there's lots of like, you know, so there's definitely ways that you're like a dyslexic brain is able to really think really outside the box. And you'll often find a lot of people who are entrepreneurs have dyslexia as well, again, because they can think outside the box and they've got that big picture thinking as well. So that makes a massive difference. So common misconceptions.
Oh, brilliant.
It only affects reading. No, it doesn't. It can be, although it can have pronounced difficulties in reading, people might struggle more with spelling or writing, and it can also affect your speech as well. So you might mix words together. You can't think of the word you want to use, or you'll say something similar, like a word like that. So it can be really different. Okay, so like reversing letters is the only sign of dyslexia. Not at all. That's like some people with dyslexia don't have that like visual issues at all. So that people think that, but no. So they think, oh, we can just use the overlays. That would be the job done. No, you know. And like another thing is they think, oh, dyslexia is, you know, your sign of low intelligence. That's the complete opposite. Einstein was dyslexic, and he was far from stupid. You know. So again, it's just because I think in the school system and like the way education system is, it just wasn't designed for people with dyslexia, and that's why I think you've come along to help, you know, like children like be educated in a way that really works for their brain, you see. So that's the thing. So will people outgrow it? No, it's going to be something that you will acquire for life. You will just find ways to to work around it and to understand how to use your brain, and just so everybody finds ways of just learning how the things that you might find tricky, how to deal with it. So that's what you would do. So it's a rare condition. No, actually, about 5 to 20% of the population have it to some degree. So that's almost like 1/5 of the population. So that's quite a big chunk.
That was what Jamie Oliver was saying in his program. There's a lot of students in one class.
Yes.
That have dyslexia, and therefore there should be more provisions when you're in a school.
Absolutely.
As we are teachers, we already know how much you've got to differentiate already. Yeah,
it's insane. And then if you think a quarter of your class are dyslexic, and then, you know, it's just really difficult. Like it's not the teacher's fault. They're just trying to do the best that they can with a class of 35 kids, you know, and it's difficult, you know. So, and again, you know, unfortunately as well, teachers aren't trained. That's the other thing as well, to teach like how to teach in a way that works for a dyslexic brain. So again, even if you've got that diagnosis, teachers aren't sure how to help you.
Yeah.
So that's another thing, really. So now I'll come on to this one because this is really important. Let me see if I can. I'll stop the share with this one and just share like apps that are useful as well. And what I can do is there's a horrible feedback noise. I don't know why.
Yeah, it's a bit squeaky.
It's a bit squeaky. I don't think it's me, but I don't know what the squeak is.
Yeah, so Sophie was saying a certain letters, B and D, she struggles with.
Yeah, B's and D's are really, really common because like when you that's that reversal, because obviously a B looks the same, and like B's and D's, P's and Q's.
Yeah,
that's so common.
When I was my dad, when I was someone like bed, Daddy used to put it as bad, and Benny used to put it as like dead or something like that.
Yeah. It's really common, Sophie, because it's just because your brain flips things round. So
That's how much I used to get bullied for it.
I know, and that's just and I think, Sophie, the thing is, like, if people, like kids and teachers, had a better understanding of what dyslexia was and why, how people's brains just work differently, everybody would go, oh, it's okay. You just
I think like from schools, what we should actually do is like a few dyslexic people like should go into like a class. There's just like a few, and then all the others go into a class so they get a bit more help with like the words that they don't understand and stuff.
Yeah, that would be a really good idea, Sophie. That would be super helpful, and I think that would help. And like one of my students actually this week, because it's a neurodiversity diversity week, they're actually going in to talk about their ADHD and dyslexia to the whole school to say what it's like for them.
Yeah.
So it's really good. I'm so glad that they're
this is the sort of thing I want to hear. What is it like for people with dyslexia? Also, how can we help as national tutors? Are we providing resources that will help you as well? Have you got any ideas?
Yes, yes, I do. So, like, in terms of so in terms of resources, let me just hang on a second. So just because I had all my notes, because Sophie, I won't remember Claire, Sophie. See, now this is another thing I love to do, is mix people's names. I'll call something completely different.
I forget people's names. I mix up my dog's name with my youngest daughter's name as well, which is always good.
That's good. Fantastic.
So like with dyslexia and ADHD, because I basically got both, but I haven't been like diagnosed with dyslexia or ADHD. I think I have with dyslexia, but not ADHD. Like it's really hard for me because ADHD mixing with it, and it's like funny at the same time.
Yeah,
it is. It's a funny combination, Sophie, because to be fair, do you know the percentage is really high of people that have dyslexia and ADHD? So it's about.
I've got both.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's between.
That's not funny. I'll just go and laugh at it.
There you go. Yeah, yeah. Like I think it's about 50 to 60% of people with dyslexia have ADHD as well. So it's quite high.
Wow.
So yeah, it's really quite high. Now remind me what you asked me for. Resources, did you say?
Yeah, well, we will be talking about resources as well. I've just got a message from Hilary here. My daughter had a CTOPS assessment, which the school said was average and didn't pick up any concerns. Would it pick up dyslexia?
Right, now.
What is CTOPS? Because there's so many different.
Okay, so when like schools tend to use lots of different screenings, so they might say, now screenings aren't particularly great. They can say like they've just the person has just said, it might not have said it's a low level or like not so, but actually the screenings aren't necessarily very accurate. So like schools will, now there's so many different ones, and like they do the same sort of thing, but they're different kind of ways of doing it. But so like they'll look at things like phonological awareness, so how they can hear sound. They'll look at reading, and like different screenings look at different things. So it depends. This is why it's really important when the school does do is find out which one they've actually done, because it's all really different.
Okay. Is that helpful, Hilary?
Does that help, Hilary?
So there's lots of different ones. Maybe get them. Brilliant.
Yeah, and also like in terms of like if they've given you a report, because again, I know a lot of parents say, well, what does this actually mean? So I think that might be worth it. I'm happy to put something in here for you guys to kind of like understand, because when you've got that screening, those assessment results, what they actually mean. But if you're not happy as well, if you don't feel that screening has really, that assessment that they've done at school hasn't really shown what you think, go and do a proper assessment. It's worth it. Yes, it's expensive, but it's worth it. there is a charity called Helen Arkell. So because normally an assessment is about £500-600 if you
I was
do
going
it.
to say, how much is it?
Yeah, it's about 500-600 quid.
Yeah.
It's not cheap. But it's really worth having, because it will understand what type of dyslexia your child has, what areas that they need support in, how to support them. So it's really, and again, once you've got that diagnosis, you can take that along to exam boards, etc. Like if you're going to take exams. So that's one thing. However, if that is just not financially doable for you now, there is a charity called Helen Arkell, which I'll pop in the chat later.
Thank you.
Which basically offers means-tested bursaries to get a diagnosis. There's obviously a waiting list, but it's really, I know I've pointed a few people in that direction, and they've been able to get an assessment and then get that diagnosis. So that's definitely something worth knowing there. I know you asked a question before, and I've completely forgotten what it is. This is my short-term working memory, folks. Right here, if it doesn't get put down.
You were going to share some resources or something else, weren't you? A PowerPoint or something on resources.
You asked me a question. No, it wasn't resources. It was something else. I've forgotten that something else.
I don't remember what I asked you.
That's okay. I
can't remember now. Did anyone else remember what I was asking?
Brilliant. Love it.
Together we will build. We will.
Okay, so like I've got some things to share, like apps that are good as well. So this is a poster that I'm sure we can get downloaded. Hopefully everyone can see that. Okay, this is a lot of this is a lot of things, but there's a lot here. So it's popped it into reading, writing, organisation, and then it's got reading ebooks, text to speech, like talking books. Obviously, story time from CBeebies won't be for every, your age group, but it's just you can see there's some more, I could put some older ones in there as well. But there's some really good stuff like mind mapping and stuff, and writing support. So there's quite a lot here. So that's really something just to pop on the platform for you, just as a download and things.
Send us the document and I will include it within this session.
Brilliant. I can do that. That's not a problem. Now, in terms of now you did ask about strategies for reading and writing and spelling, didn't you?
Yes. Something like that, just to help. Because how National Tutors works, we have recorded lessons, so they could be videos, which are great. You can have obviously the subtitles on, or it could be someone speaking, and so it's how can we improve that for dyslexic people?
Brilliant. That's a great thing. Now, dyslexic people tend to be really strong visual learners, so videos are super, super helpful. I constantly need to go back to a video, because if you tell me something, I've forgotten it and I have to go back to the video. So videos are super helpful, instructions, when you've got instructions, for example, one instruction at a time.
Yes,
that's super, super important.
I think that goes for many, 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 many people.
It does. So when we've got a big chunk, a task, like you've been asking them to do a task, it's just breaking that task into one thing at a time is super, super helpful, because it's too much for most brains to go, what have you just asked me to do? I can't do that. So that really helps. So you've got the videos, and what else? Do you have games or quizzes, or what kind of things do you have?
It does vary. We have some quizzes, we have worksheets, we have extra videos, exam questions, things like that. It varies, because each course is run by a different tutor, and they've got their own unique sort of things. But I do in my science ones, for example, we have lots of multiple choice quizzes as well that we recommend people doing as well. So
absolutely. So I would say definitely quizzes, games as well, games, because if you've kind of And there's loads of games you can hook up to whatever you're teaching as well, like Look It and Gym Kit and Bamboozle and Word Wall. You can create your own games, yay! And then just pop it in there as a link. So like that would be like, as well as a quiz, I'd probably put some games in there with whatever you're learning to summarize what they've learned. Because the games often have a microphone, so that it will actually read what like the text is as well. So like with the worksheets, is there like any like speech to text where they can listen to it rather than just just like read it? Does that make sense?
So I suppose if it's a Word document, you can do that.
You can do that. It's you can do that with Google as well, and iPads. If you take a picture, it should be able to read it for you. So like, and then obviously, like sometimes if you've got a long document, it's honestly, for me, I look at that and go, and I think that goes for a lot of people. So like, if you've got maybe like a lot of text, maybe just breaking it down like into short bits of video or something like that, going, oh, let's do this, let's read this, blah 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 blah, this does this, and then like maybe saying, well, tell me what this means, like that paragraph, or what have you learned from this paragraph? Because to be honest with you, like especially like things like English and comprehension, this is what I said to my students. I was like, who reads all the English comprehension and hasn't forgotten what they've read? That's me. I've already forgotten what I've read. So, just to have it in chunks, like one paragraph, like
chunk things.
Yeah, is really helpful. Like to say, okay, you've read that. What does that mean? Or like, I don't know, like because obviously you teach lots of different subjects. So, for example, like in science, well, what does the atom do? Or in that paragraph. Let's do a quiz. Answer those questions on that paragraph. Then go to the next bit. Then go to the next bit. Because I find when you've got a whole like worksheet and there's too much information, it makes many person with ADHD and dyslexia go, and run away.
When someone tries to talk to me about something, I'm just like, no, don't
talk to me right now. No. So I think that's something that would be really helpful. Like lots of games, like summarising everything, like even like them to submit a video to say, what have I learned? They could, like, if they don't want to do a video, they could just like do like a voice note or something like that, just to say.
This is going to be really helpful. Just Sophie, very quickly, we are developing our own learning management system. I think it's called that, because we've just got so big and we've got so many courses now. But we want our own platform. But we are going to gamify everything.
Gamify.
That's coming. But sorry, Sophie, you've got your hand up.
Right, so my question is, do you know with like dyslexia and stuff, right? Do you know when you're concentrating on one thing, but then there's something else there and you get distracted by that something else? Is that classed as like dyslexia as well? Because that's definitely me.
Right. So that's a great question, Sophie, because that could be both. Because if you've got ADHD and dyslexia, you can get distracted by both, to be fair. So it could be either. So like with dyslexia, you do get easily distracted because your brain's having to work a lot harder to concentrate. So it's easy to to kind of get distracted or look out the window or forget. So that's very common. So so it could be dyslexia, it could be ADHD, it could be a combination of the two.
Brilliant. Because yesterday I was doing some work, do you know, on that National Tutors. I was doing some work on that. Because I printed loads of work out for me. I can't even do it. Some of it's confusing, especially with science. But yeah, actually, one thing I did do is science on my own. Anyways.
Well done.
I was concentrating on this, and then my dad put the TV on, and it was talking about the news. I just looked straight at the TV, and I got distracted. It took me about 2 hours to do this sheet of work.
And do you find when...
That's to another room.
Yeah, do you find if the radio's on or someone's talking to you with the radio on...
I have to fidget as well. Like, if I'm concentrating on something, I have to fidget.
That's ADHD. I have my unicorn poo, which I fidget with. I just squeeze it. It's great. I didn't realise it was a poo until I brought it home, but I thought it was just a squidgy thing. But there we are.
She says if I do get too distracted and stuff, she'll like take me to the shopping bags. You know them little square squishes?
Yeah.
That cube. She says she'll buy me one of them, but I says that'd just be too much. I probably won't concentrate.
How do you concentrate? Can you put headphones on?
So sometimes when I'm like doing something, I like put some music on, like if I'm cleaning my room. So then, like, if I'm doing some work or something, I've got to have quietness. I can't be like any noise or anything. Like, if there's any touch of noise, I have to go and listen what it is. And like, if I'm in a car journey or something, and I'm like concentrating on where we're going or something, it's music again.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's different. Sometimes it's like nothing. Sometimes it's like I have to listen to music. Or
they do recommend when you're learning not have lyrical music on, because then you listen to the words. It's classical or instrumental music is really nice to have on.
If I'm like doing like for an example, I'm just cleaning my bedroom, then I would listen to music. But like normal, just work like this or sheets of paper, I won't listen to anything. I'd listen to something.
Yeah, interesting. Love it. If anyone else wants to share how they do or manage focusing as well, and just trying to sort of digest the information. If you've got any helpful hints, then please put your hand up.
Yeah.
I definitely want all that. Have a look at all those apps anyway for games and stuff like that.
Yeah, no, absolutely fantastic. So we were talking about maybe like strategies for like reading and writing and spelling and things like that. So what I'll do is I'll go for the writing and then I'll go for spelling and I'll go for reading, because they're three very different things and you can't do it all at the same time. So like one of the things, I'm going to share my screen again. Let me make sure I've got the right screen this time. Hold on. Oops. Let's see. Where is it? Sorry, I've got to find there we go. There it is. So,
hang on, let me pin
can
that.
everyone see that okay? Fabulous. So, like with writing, now this goes for ADHD and this goes for dyslexia. You can't because you have your executive functioning skills are a bit dicey, so you can't really organize. It's difficult for you to organize your thoughts. So when somebody's asking you to write an essay, or if they're asking you to write a story or something, you have all these great ideas in your head and you're like, I don't know how to write this down, myself included. So this is an example of how I help my students with writing. So when it comes to writing, we need to chunk everything down bit by bit by bit. This is really helpful for someone not just with dyslexia but also ADHD, because it helps you just break things down. So like we were doing a character description, and actually that's something, a character description, if you've got a great one, you can even still use that in your GCSEs, because you're going to use that if you're going to sit your English exam. So getting a character description is great. And what we were doing is we were looking at what does the face look like, and then I've got word maps and stuff, so we choose one from that. What does the eyes look like? What does the hair look like? What does the nose look like? What does the teeth look like? Fingers, etc., etc. And then I this is my example, so I had all of these words, and then I kind of said, well, what does this character like? What does it dislike? What's their family like? How many people? Where did they live? What are their characters like? What do they do for a living? What do they do? Are they singers? Are they working in circus? Any other ideas? Okay. Now, the who, what, where, when is very overlooked. I know you did this probably in Key Stage 1, but actually it's very helpful to just go back to those 4 W's basics, because if we've got those 4 W's basics, we can actually then start to build on this. Okay, so like for this one, for example, I had who, the man. What did he do? Hid in the bushes. Where? On Wimbledon Common. When? At midnight. Which is very, very, very quite troubling. But then what I used here, then you've got all these lovely descriptions. So we've got the gangly man with black teeth, wispy hair and bloodshot eyes, hid in the bushes on Wimbledon Common in the middle of the night. So you can just see, just by structuring it like that, how much easier it is then to put a really nice juicy sentence together. So like this is what students with dyslexia and ADHD, to be honest with you, need this real clear structure to be able to then write it properly. Does that make sense? It's not a case of it's like, let's write something. It doesn't work like that. They need like clear templates, and this is something that you can do like for characters, stories, essays, diary entries, everything.
But this is just not just helpful for dyslexic and ADHD. It's for everybody. I think this is good.
Yeah, this is like how I would teach my students to write, because like I know I struggle with writing as well, like how to put everything together. So this is really, really helpful for me, because I can then, structure it better, because in my head I've got the boxes and go, now I know how to put it together. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So
Hilary just said, is this useful for creative writing?
Oh my God, it's so useful for creative writing. Yes. Because if you were to do like stories, for example, because I've got like a separate like thing for stories as well. So like I use, I often use videos to start with as well, just because I find it's easy to take bits out of that rather than just think of something just randomly from your head. But yeah, you can do like, what's your, what are your characters? What are they seeing? What are they feeling? What are they hearing? Who, what, where, when, like in each part of the story, because that keeps them you focused. Like now, what is your beginning of the story? What is your middle? What's the end? What is the kind of bad thing that happens in your story? If you can do, like, if you can chunk it all down like that, that helps tremendously, because then the child can like put the boxes, just put their thoughts down and then start writing.
Loving it.
That's super, super important. And then with spelling, now spelling is a tricky one. There's a lot to spelling. It's not something that is just going to go da-da, and it's like the one easy fix for spelling. So I'm just going to share this with you. So you
let me pin it.
Fabulous. So like characteristics of like dyslexic spellers is basically it's difficult to hear the letter sound to how it's spelled. Like said, people with dyslexia spell S-E-D, for example, or they just spell it how it sounds, and then they struggle with like regular spelling patterns, which unfortunately the English language has loads of them. Oh my goodness. So like letter reversals like B's and D's, or they're missed letters out, or they put other letters in their place. And other things like remembering those spelling rules. So like I before E or something like that.
Yeah.
But
I still say that I before E, except after C.
Now, we teach them more kind of in-depth sort of spelling like rules and stuff, because there's a lot to this. And once you understand those, it's a lot easier for you to spell, because you go, there's a reason for this. Let me apply that reason. So I'll show you some of those in a second. One of the most important things we can do when we're spelling is just using multisensory approach. So what is that? Is basically seeing, hearing, feeling, doing at the same time. Okay, so you can use a variety of things. You can use you can tap it out on your arm, like if you were to say the sounds, or you can trace in the air. You can I often get them to like put blue tack down and then we tap it out like that. You can use finger tapping. You can use like letter tiles or sand trays. To be honest, I don't like sand trays. They make a bloody mess. So I use write in a box. So that's a lot easier. Or even grease-proof paper over something. That will make it like a different sensory feel. So like mastering spelling is really something that you can do with syllable division. Now, this is something that we teach as part of our curriculum. So the different because at school they've just been taught, this is a syllable, let's clap out the syllables, but they haven't been taught exactly what the different syllable types are, when we're using them, how we to split the words up, and that really helps them understand how the spelling works, because then they're able to go, I know I've got to split it here. like for example, rabbit, like if I said rabbit, I know if I said it with my mouth shut, well, that's 2 syllables. How many sounds are in rab? How many sounds is that? 3. Then if I've got the second syllable, bit, how many sounds are in that? It. Does that make sense? So it's just like things like, I mean, that's the simple one. But if you can see these syllable, there's quite a few like different syllable division rules here. So then it's like things like vowel teams, because like when they were taught at school, you know, like or even not at school, you know, like with the traditional phonic system, you know, like you're taught like it's just like phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, which makes no sense to a dyslexic kid. It doesn't. So we teach like in terms of things like vowel teams. So those are like 2 vowels that come together to make one sound. So like E, A, and we teach like the short and the long vowel sounds. Like R controlled is basically a vowel that has an R, like when AR says R, or ER says for example. So things like that. Or magic E, for example, or blends and things like that. So this just really helps when you understand how it's constructed. It's helped with the spelling as well.
Yeah.
That really helps. So another thing I would say is also like the morphology, which sounds like a very fancy word, but it's basically what morphology is like the understanding the roots of languages, because English is made up of such a mixture of different languages, which is why it's such a mess.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why it doesn't follow every rule, because we've got such a mixture of languages. And once a child understands, oh, that came from Anglo-Saxon, so it's going to be spelt like that, and it sounds like this, or this is Latin, or this is Greek, and then they understand, that's why I spell it like that as well. So like prefixes, understanding what prefixes mean, like pre means before, so anything that has pre will mean before, like pre-made, pre-cooked, pre.
That's what I do with science, because a lot of scientific words, it's like atomic, 2, mono, poly.
Yes,
As long as when you get to know those words, it's actually, I said the actual word tells you what it is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Same. So this is the thing. So this is really important. So like this is the same thing for reading and for spelling. Actually, it's really helpful because you understand, and it will help with science later on. So all good. And so also like repetition is so much more important here, because someone with a learning difference does need to do it at least 20 times or more.
Wow.
So like lots more practice, and like in a multisensory way, and also understanding the hows and the whys behind it, because it's just simply enough just practicing it just won't help them remember it. They need to be able to understand like why and the hows, and when I say studying it systematically, going through the different rules and why you spelt things like that. So like things like, for example, now this will sound really simple, like using C or K. Like now we know cat is spelt with a C or kitten is spelt with a K just because it is, but no one's told you why. Does that make sense?
Yeah, why?
I was going to tell you why. So basically, with when you're using like a C says k, basically it's got an A, O, or U after it, unless it is not an English word. So, like for example, kayak, that's not an English word. So, like, but if they're an English word, it will be like a C, and if it's got the vowel A, O, U. If it's a K and it's followed by an I, E, or Y, then it will be a K says k. You see, so like, so it's all of these sorts of things, and like using like when you have a final sound, k, like you've got CK says k, K says k, and IC says k. Which one are you using and why? So it's like plural spelling words and sight words, and like when I say sight words, we call them red words, and we teach them in a different way. So just things like that really I think are really helpful. So these are kind of things. I mean, obviously this is quite babies. You don't have to do this. You can still write things in, but you can tap these things out. I like these. I like squiggly things, like, you know, like even if you did like like blue tack on your board and squished it, you can do that, and you can draw it, and you can say it, you know, like using manipulatives as well, so using different coloured like counters and things, and saying the sound as you're bringing it down is really helpful. So like these things are called Elegant boxes, and you can get these free online. And you can get different ones like Star Wars ones, all sorts. So you can do that, and they've got longer words as well. So like if you were doing multi-syllable words, you could still do that. So that's quite helpful. These are just examples of like multi-sensory ways, like air writing as well. So like saying the letter name, or
get a sparkler.
Pardon?
You get a sparkler, right? Yeah. Write it in.
Yeah, that's a great way. Like, you know, and also there's pens that you can get, which like you can write on windows with, and that they rub off, they don't leave a mark. I've forgotten what they're called. China pens, I think.
Ooh.
Yeah, they're really cool, and I use those because it's really visual. And like something that like is really important is like when the hand goes, the mouth goes. So when you're saying it, you should be writing it at the same time, because that helps it, you know, like help the brain remember it, because it's like that seeing, hearing, feeling, doing at the same time. Does that make sense?
I've seen something else as well. It's like a sheet of paper. It will stick to your wall, but it's like a big, massive, long piece of wallpaper, that sort of size. Yeah. And then you can write on it. So that's quite good. I'll have to find that and I'll put all these things on our community as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely, because they're just really cool, and they're like just things that help kind of just make it a bit more fun and enjoyable.
Yeah, even if you're doing like planning an essay, having a window and drawing on a window and breaking down, chunking it all on the window, and
and just like having that planning that essay as well, just like having that chunking system. So like, you know, like and obviously depending on the subject, it'll be different for whatever subject that is, but if you've got the structure that your students can use, that'd be super helpful, and then they can like take the bit by bit by bit before they start writing the essay, and you'll probably find that they're going to be able to write a much better structured essay because they've had that structure to start with. So
we can add. I'll talk to the ladies that do the English language course and see if we can add something to it.
Yeah, definitely.
That will help. Yeah.
Definitely. Brilliant. And you wanted to know about reading as well, didn't you?
Yeah. Did you? Is there any other questions, guys? Whilst we do it, please share. Please ask. So does your business, Abigail, is it specifically tutoring, or do you go around training people? Or
so specifically tutoring, although I have been now start asking to be like training schools and things like that's the kind of next thing that they've been asking, because like schools are seeing, like, you know, the kids have come to us and they're like, oh, this is making a difference. Like they can see a massive difference in their they can read and everything else. What are you doing differently? So they're starting to want me to kind of come in and do stuff. Yeah. So yeah. Has anybody got any burning questions?
Yeah. No. Do you want to share your last one?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I've actually pulled up the wrong one, which isn't very clever, wasn't it? Hold on a second. I do have it.
With my 50 million tabs open on my two.
Of course, that's because I have ADHD. Of course, I have about a million tabs open at the same time.
Yeah, it's all got a purpose.
Of course it has. So no, it's pulling it up. Hold on a second. It's pulling up one thing. I've called it one thing and it's not the right thing. Hold on.
That's fine.
There we go. I've got the right one now. There we go. Hold on. Right. Okay. So now I can share my screen because I found the right one. Love it.
It's my filing system on my computer. It's like,
it's great. So, like, when you're teaching reading to someone with dyslexia, all the things that I've said before with the spelling, and it needs to be multisensory. So that's really, really important. Everything I said for the spelling, you need to apply to the reading as well. Super, super, super important. But like the science of reading basically is like when there's 5 pillars of being able to read. So you've got the phonemic awareness, like so how you hear those sounds. Like so, for example, in cat, there are 3 sounds like at, for example. The phonics are like in terms of those phonic sounds. So again, we don't teach it like school does. It's a bit of a, like in terms of when we're teaching those sounds, we're taught why they belong to a certain family and why they make that sound in the first place. Fluency, because that's like how when we talk about fluency, it's like, can you read a word or sentence without having to sound it out? Building your vocabulary as well. So it's not just being able to read, it's actually understanding the vocabulary that you are using as well. And comprehension, being able to actually understand what you're reading, because a lot of people with dyslexia, because they're concentrating so hard on what they're reading, it's really hard. They're kind of what they've read gets completely lost.
Yeah.
So that's something common. That's why it'd be really helpful to have like things that you can summarize or just read this paragraph. What does that mean? Read that paragraph. What does that mean? Because then it helps them chunk it down a bit and like be able to like get the actual gist of what it means. So like building phonemic skills. Now these like all these skills are really important to be able to read basically. So there's different ones here. So like phoneme matching. So like the ability to identify words that begin with the same sound. So like phoneme or phonics, they sound the same. They've got the same sound, for example. Or phoneme isolation is basically identifying a single sound in a word. So if I said the word slack, what's that middle sound in slack? Well, it's ah. Does that make sense? In the middle? Or if I said what's the end sound, it would be k, for example. Or like blending, like being able to blend as well. Again, you know, your students are older and they probably will be able to blend. That's not a problem. But it's kind of these more trickier ones like segmentation or manipulation. So, for example, when I say like manipulation, what does that mean? So, like, for example, if I was to say the word cupcake, now say cupcake without the cup, what would it say? Cake. Or if I was to say the word lake, now put like the R says in front of it, what does it say now? Rake. So that's what I mean by manipulation, by swapping those sounds round. And again, that's somebody with dyslexia will find that tricky. So that's why those kind of skills are really important to develop, because that will help them develop how that sounds to how it's written down.
Yeah.
Oh, we've got a nice blank paper there. We've got tapping out sounds, like I said before. Now, when I talk about systematic phonics instructions, we're not talking about like going back to like year 1. What we're talking about is using those letters, you know, those sounds, but teaching why it makes those sounds, how to blend it, how to read it, and to go from there. Now, if your child is already like, you know, can read, that's not what you need. But if your child is really, really struggling, you will definitely need like a systematic phonics instruction. If not, you need more things like morphology. You need to be able to understand syllable division, which I'll show you in a second. Where's my syllable division? Hold on. Oh no, hold on. I've got my syllable division somewhere. Hold on. I'll come back to, I'll show you some like syllable division. Yeah. It really helps with being able to understand the types of syllables that you have, to understand how you split it, to then how to read it, like I showed you in the spelling one, because that really helps a lot, being able to then break, once you've got the rules, you're able to then break it down into those rules into bigger words. So that's why that's super important. So like a morphology is really important to understand those sounds as well, because like when you understand what like those are not sounds, sorry, those like, you know, words mean, or those like prefixes, then you're able to then go, that means this, so that says that, and that really helps with your reading as well.
Well, that's good, because that's something I do with the science, because the science got lots. So it's always asking, what does that mean? What word does that mean? And explaining what it is each time, and breaking down the words and everything.
Absolutely.
So the history of words and the origin of words is just another massive
Huge. I mean, and it's huge because it really impacts, because like it will impact the sound of it. Like H says it's Greek.
Yeah.
So like, you know, that's what this is why it's like, so therefore,
and it's the silent letters as well. Have you seen that sketch with Michael McIntyre?
Yes.
Yeah, the silent letter day.
Yes.
You have to say all the words. Oh, it's so funny. I'm just like, why do we have silent letters? What is the point?
This is why, because they've come from different languages.
Yeah. Oh,
you know, they've come from Greek, or, you know, they've come from different, you know, so we've got French, Latin, you know, that we've got so many different bits of language in our, that's why, and especially when it comes to science, there's a lot of the Greek there.
Yeah, a lot of Greek.
So that's, you know, so that's why understanding those like prefixes and things like that will really like help, and the morphology will really help them understand what it actually means to start with.
Yeah, brilliant. This has been amazing. I'm just like, oh, it's given me some definite things to improve upon with National Tutors. With I know we're doing like quizzes, everything like that, and we do chunk a lot, and it's quite. And with videos, we can pause. Videos are good as well.
Videos amazing.
Yeah, doing a lot. But if there's more that I can do, especially for the English language, writing essays in geography, history, anything like that.
Yeah.
Having that chunk format would be good. Yeah, so that's definitely given me ideas. It's been amazing. I'm really good. And I hope everyone has enjoyed learning.
Yeah,
I feel I feel that you've got more to say and more to do. And
I do.
Yeah,
I've got loads more because you asked me about websites, and I've got it all up. And
well,
loads more.
Too. Obviously, we can repeat this again, maybe in the next sort of like academic year, if that's okay with you.
Absolutely.
We can have like a part 2.
Brilliant. Oh,
yeah,
so
thank you. Yeah, it's been very informative. It has, and we will. There's so much to this to make sure every education facility knows what to do and how your brain works.
Absolutely. And the thing is, as I say, like once people understand, they go, oh, this is just how my brain works. That's okay.
Yeah.
You know, because for me, when I was diagnosed with ADHD, I was like, now I understand why this is difficult, or why I have to put music on to do a task or get up, or, you know, so for me, it's super helpful.
Yeah, I know it is. And it's not a disability. It's just wiring in there. It's just a little bit different, and then it's just in that, isn't it?
Exactly that. And it's just it's just a learning difference. You just have to kind of go with your difference and learn how to use your brain, basically.
Yeah. And with science, variety is a spice of life, and it
is
without variety and variation.
Absolutely.
Anyway, right, has anyone got any last questions? I think there's just a thank you there from Hilary. Feel free. Well, you've now got Abigail's website and to make any contact, and I promise I will do a part 2 on this, because I definitely will book you in maybe sort of September time.
Yeah, perfect.
We'll do that. And I hope it has been great. I think Hannah loves her googly eyes.
Oh, do you like Hannah? I love a googly eye, Hannah. Yeah, why not? Give a googly eye. And I like my squishies. My squishy's already falling apart. I've only had it a week and a half, and it's all falling apart. Look, the horns fell off.
Oh my goodness!
But I like this squishy. It's a very satisfying squish.
Yeah. Maybe I should get some squishies or something. But yeah,
I love a squishy. You can't beat a squishy.
No. Yeah. I will cut off now. I will stop the recording now. But thank you again very much.
No problem.
We will be seeing you more in the future. Thank you.
No problem at all. I'll send you like the poster and like the other things. And
there's maybe a chunk sheet, how you've demonstrated that chunk sheet as well, because that'd be really helpful for those, and I'll put that all in there.
Yeah, perfect. Excellent. You're welcome. Bye.